I also spoke to Jonathan Arnott, independent MEP for the North East of England. Undercover BBC reporters have been told that people smugglers in France have been using the approach of Brexit to warn of closed borders afterwards and encourage more people to try and cross the Channel this winter. As a supporter of Brexit, I asked Jonathan if he thought the UK had created its own problem here.
I don't believe so. I think that the last people that you would want to trust and to believe about what is happening in our country is people smugglers who are trying to profit from the misery and suffering of fellow human beings. In fact, they're probably the last people that I would want to listen to on a subject like this, quite frankly. It seems to me that those people who are trying to charge people large amounts of money to cross from safe country to safe country to safe country are not part of the solution to the very real and very serious issues that we're seeing across the world today, but they're people who are trying to profit from the problem.
When we look at why people are trying to get to the UK, and we've seen just since November, I believe, 220 people trying to get across the Channel in sometimes very small boats. What do we know about the causes of why they're coming, and do we need to be careful that we're nuanced about how we talk about it?
In my view, there is a major issue here, and it is that we have this Western mindset where we see the people who are on our doorstep who are moving from France to the UK, and what we're failing to see is the genuine and huge-scale human suffering that is going on in countries like Jordan today, where there are 1.2 million people who have been forced to leave Syria, who have gone to a neighbouring country like Jordan, and there are millions more who have gone to other countries like Lebanon and Turkey within that region. So those people who have no money to be able to pay smugglers and people traffickers, those people who are the young, the sick, the elderly, the infirm, those people who are fleeing a terrible civil war and have nowhere else to go, they should be the people that we have a moral duty as a society to do our very best to help. What we see from people who have moved from one safe country to another are people who should have, under international law, claimed asylum in the first safe country that they arrived in. But instead what we're seeing is people who are paying money to smugglers and people traffickers to try to move from safe country to safe country to safe country. Now that, to me, fundamentally is a very, very different thing from what you see from the refugees who are in the countries bordering Syria, who are in a situation with very, very little hope and who really should be getting our help. So those people who are trying to break the law to make sure that they are the people who are able to get from France to the United Kingdom, they are not, in my view, the people who are those who are genuinely suffering, who we should be helping as a nation. In fact, to help those people as a nation would be hugely counterproductive, because if we were to welcome with open arms the people coming from France to the UK, all we would do is encourage more people to keep making those dangerous journeys from country to country to country, and then trying to cross the English Channel in conditions like these over December and January, when people are risking their lives and the lives of their dependents that they're bringing with them. This is not a sensible basis for making policy to help people in a way that will create further suffering. That's not what we should be doing. What we should be doing as a nation is looking to where the actual biggest suffering is, which is in those countries neighbouring Syria, and we should be helping the people there. And there are millions of those people who really do deserve our help. The people who deserve our help are not the few dozen people who are trying to come from France to the UK. They are not fleeing persecution in France.
Is there potentially an argument, though, that if they've put themselves in the hands of people smugglers, no matter what their motives or their financial standing when they did that initially, once they're in their hands, where they end up is out of their control, and therefore they have become victims of modern-day slavery and trafficking?
Those people choosing to put themselves into the hands of smugglers, you should not be in a position where you help them to do what the smugglers are trying to do. All you'll do is simply encourage more people to pay more money to smugglers. Now, if those people were fleeing a war-torn country at that point, then there might be a question there. But actually, we're talking about people who are coming from France, and returning them to France would leave a big problem for the people smugglers. You also have the issue that once somebody has travelled through so many different safe countries, you do not know anymore who those people are. You do not know whether those people are those who are genuinely fleeing the war in Syria, whether they are genuinely fleeing persecution, or whether they're people who have used this crisis as an opportunity for economic migration from other countries. You end up with a situation where you don't even know whether the people that are coming to the UK are actually the same people who are fleeing the appalling situation in the first place. Again, there are millions of people who are in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Turkey, who are in the most appalling conditions through no fault of their own. They're not people who have paid criminals to try to get them from country to country to country. They are people who are struggling, and countries like Jordan simply cannot cope. Jordan is absolutely overstretched. It is absolutely struggling beyond belief. And I do believe that we have a Christian duty to help those who are in the most need. But the people who are in the most need are the people who are in those refugee camps and settlements, who are in the most appalling, overcrowded conditions, and who, frankly, are the people who wouldn't even be able to make a journey across so many countries. I think it's this sort of mindset that people see those who are coming to our doorstep, and for some reason they fixate on those few dozen people, and they forget the millions who genuinely do need our help. And I do believe that our government should be doing more to help those in those countries directly. And this is what we need to be saying as a country. We need to be saying, no, we're not going to facilitate moves from France to the UK. That actually is only going to make human suffering worse overall if we help those people. What we should be doing is looking at where the greatest need is and actually helping the people in the greatest need.
Jonathan Arnott, Independent MEP for the North East of England.